Hello and welcome back to the Tuesday Checklist, the weekly show where we take inspiration from a recent or upcoming release and use that as an excuse to talk about games we love. Borderlands 3 is out this week, a series famous for many things: outrageous weapons, Moorish co-op combat, bold visuals, and larger-than-life characters. Handsome Jack, in particular, was one of those villains you couldn't help but fall a little bit in love with, which got us thinking about all those amazing baddies we just love to hate. Before we start, make sure you click the notification bell so you always know when a new Tuesday Checklist goes live. Right then, Nath is up first. Guess what game his entry is from?
Okay, so my entry for a villain I love to hate, and I genuinely love hating this guy, is Gaunter O'Dim from The Witcher 3's. I can tell only one of you knows what I'm talking about. Thanks, Al. From the expansion Hearts of Stone, from The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt, the best game on PlayStation 4. Gaunter O'Dim, I'm going to... The problem is now I'm going to explain who this character is, and for those of you who don't know, some of the magic of why he's such a good character is that he is... Have you started The Witcher 3, Dave?
Yes, I've told you this many times.
Yeah, Rosie, have you ever played it?
No, but okay. I really want to.
Sorry, but Dave, you've encountered Gaunter O'Dim, you just don't know it yet.
You can't tell me what I've done.
So when you go to White Orchard, you know, right at the beginning of The Witcher 3, you have a fight in a tavern. Yeah. Because some people are bad to Geralt, and he's like, I don't have to put up with this.
Yeah.
One of the people, I guess you maybe don't have to interact with him, but sat at a table is just a merchant. I think he deals in mirrors. And that is Gaunter O'Dim. Play the whole of the main game, never comes up again, and then you're on a ship in Hearts of Stone, you've been captured, Gaunter O'Dim just appears, and I think maybe the conversation gets around to, don't I recognise this guy?
Right.
He's just a normal person as far as you're aware, and then he turns up and you're like, okay, it's a bit weird that he's in the middle of this storm on a ship in the middle of the ocean, that this man's here, but sure, he says he'll help me, but there's a catch, and he brands your face with magic, and then you're kind of linked to him in this horrible way. And Gaunter O'Dim...
This is quite the catch.
Right. So the whole DLC is like... it's amazing, and there's two bits of DLC main bits of DLC for Witcher 3, and they're both basically full games, and they're fantastic, and the stories are brilliant. And this one is about Gaunter O'Dim and about the deal that you make with him to get free, and The Witcher is all about, you know, kind of folklore style choices and consequences anyway, so this fits in perfectly. And Gaunter O'Dim it's the story of his character being revealed. Who is he? What is he like? And what he's like is evil. He's perhaps he's more and more sinister as you learn more about him, and more powerful as well. And it turns out that the guy you think is the main bad guy, who's called Olgierd, I think, who looks almost exactly like David Beckham did at the time that The Witcher 3 was released. It's really weird. He is actually a victim of Gaunter O'Dim, and what other horrible things happen? I think Olgierd hires a professor to research Gaunter O'Dim, and the man goes blind because of how evil Gaunter O'Dim. Reading about him makes this man go blind.
That's real evil.
And he's got like that whole kind of, I'll give you 3 wishes. Oh, but you didn't realise that the particular wording of this means that I now own literally your soul. That's kind of his MO. But being extremely clever and being the Witcher, you can choose to just let him do loads of bad stuff, and then at the end you get the brand taken off your face, and that's it. You even get a reward if you want, but obviously be very careful about what you choose. But you can tempt him into playing for your soul, and that's the way that you can win. But yeah, as a character, he's just got this arrogance to him, and he's played by a Scottish character actor who was once on Taggart. So like I feel like they've got this... there's like this real kind
that's
of...
my day ruined now. Sing Taggart.
Ruined?
Yeah, that's my day ruined as well, thanks.
Get me the guitar.
They've got this real kind of like understated level of sort of arrogance to him, and the worst thing that he does, big spoiler,
cool.
is when you're like, what is going on? I think you were at a tavern in Oxenfurt and he stops time to have a little chat with you and you're like, interesting, I thought you sold mirrors. And then like this horrible drunken man has been leering in and interrupting the conversation. And as he gets up to leave, having frozen time, he takes a wooden spoon and just inserts it into the man's eye socket and then restarts time and the man obviously dies instantly. It's the worst. And it's like this level of sort of, well, there's that thing, isn't there, about like the banality of evil. And that is like Gordon Dim's whole thing. Is like he seems bored with how evil he is and he's extremely good at it. And he's a terrible person. And getting to the end of the DLC and doing like the boss battle, which, because I chose to try and defeat him, I was, you know when you're like, maybe not even playing the game as attentively as you should be, just like, I hate this person so much. I just want everything about them to be undone, and I want to see a cutscene where they're like, oh no, you got me, I'm so sad. And I was just like rushing through this thing, I hate this guy. So yeah, Gordon Dim, it's fantastic. You should play The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt, and also both bits of DLC.
All right, so I'm going to start with a spoiler alert. Because my villain, you don't know they're a villain all the way through. But you should have played this by now, because it is GTA San Andreas.
Ooh.
And my villain is Big Smoke.
Good shout.
Wait, is he the guy with the hat? And then he wants a sandwich at some point?
Have you...
or something. I played...
Can we have a series of just games described by Rosie?
Exactly that.
The guy in the green top?
Okay, well, first of all, let me tell you that the colour of Grove Street is green, so that doesn't narrow down, but I'm going to say yes.
One of several,
I'm pretty sure you're talking about Big Smoke. Oh, no. Okay, so I'm assuming you're talking about Big Smoke because one of the reasons that I feel so upset about him being a villain is he was one of my favourite characters of all time.
Right.
Big Smoke loves food.
He's the guy who goes to the fast food
Oh
place.
yeah, goes about his order, which I literally to this day can still recite, which was 2 number 9s, a large number 9, a number 6 with extra dip, a number 7, 2 number 45s, 1 with cheese, and a large soda.
Oh God, I'm hungry now.
Exactly. From that point, I was like, this is my brother. I was so excited. I loved him. He's like chubby, he's like really funny. He's the best. Like, obviously when you meet him at the beginning and there's a whole burglar mix up, he's like hilarious. And I just was like, this is amazing. I love Grove Street. I felt straight away, I was like, this is my real life family. I was like, I'm home, everything's great. Obviously everyone else is like a bit edgy with you, but Big Smoke loves you from the beginning. And I was like, he is my best friend. He always orders hilariously. When you get in that shootout, at the, I think it's at the Clucking Bell.
Yeah,
I mean, let me be
right.
clear, the food is my favourite thing in GTA. I used to just take CJ and I would just feed him up, get him really fat, and then take him to the gym and like slim him back down and be like, and back we go. Like, yeah, that was all I ever did. And so, yeah.
I'm still on my feeding up phase. So hit the gym one day.
Yeah, you know, it's going to be fine. So in that, when he like refuses to shoot because he's eating, at the time, I thought that was amazing. I was like, yes, if I ever needed proof that this was like the best person for me, it's Big Smoke. And then obviously, it turns out he's a traitor.
Man, I've never played San Andreas.
Oh, sorry, it's ruined for you
I'm
now.
experiencing this loss with you.
Yeah. So you think he's like your best, chubby, hilarious friend. And actually, he is really intelligent to a point because he's managed to bring loads of the gangs in Los Santos together and form this huge cabal that he's the head of, which is all he's ever wanted. And so it turns out he's betrayed you, and it's like a horrible bit where you find out and you like wait and hide and then you see him, and it was like genuinely heartbreaking because I truly was like, this is my brother. And I was so sad.
Who did he betray you to?
So basically he joins Ballas, and then like he brings in loads of the other gangs as well. So he doesn't really ever join anyone else because he's kind of creating his own thing. But he basically goes to your like main enemies, and then he forms alliances with the other gangs so that he has like this huge network. And it's truly the saddest thing of all time. I was like, but Grove Street! And then worst of all, he closes Grove Street down, and I was like, how did we let him do that? I was like, he's not even one of us anymore. I'm so angry. But of course, that being terrible, which it is, and heartbreaking, and I honestly tried to kill him like constantly, and I was like, why won't it let me kill him? The worst bit is obviously just the wrong side of the tracks.
Oh dear.
Because that mission is the most frustrating mission other than the plane, which I've talked about before. But obviously everybody knows wrong side of the tracks, and it is a mission where you have to ride a motorbike and all he has to do is shoot people. And then when you inevitably fail it, like 100 times in a row, every time at the end, he's like, all we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ. And I'm like, no. I followed the damn train. All you had to do was shoot. Not like an idiot when he's like, I'm like, one of us is doing all the hard work here. How dare you? And I remember at one point just being so angry that at the end of it, I just jumped into the sea and just swam out to die. No, I just left him because I was like, he's going to say it, and I was just swimming out, and I was like, just going to wait here, I'm going to duck down, and let's watch my air run out.
Get in the sea.
Because I hated him so much. And so it was mainly because I loved him so much is why I hated him. But I just want you to know, Big Smoke, I hate you. And I'm so glad you died at the end, because otherwise I would have killed you.
So before I start my entry, I'm just going to say this is quite a big spoiler for...
Another one?
I know, I'm sorry, Dave.
Oh my God.
It's a spoiler for Phoenix Wright Trials and Tribulations, which is the third game in, like, the trilogy.
Oh, no.
It's... Okay, I don't hate a lot of characters. I'm not a hateful person. There are some people I'm like, oh God, you're an evil man, but oh, look at you.
I could see the good in you, Darth.
Yeah, but this one character, she's just evil, and she's called Dahlia Hawthorne.
Ooh, good
Yes,
name.
I know, it is a good name. And so she is... It's a bit, within Phoenix Wright, you've got this whole, what they call like the Fae clan, and they're all very spiritual, so let's just say that they can like summon people from the dead, and then they can channel, and so you can talk to spirits and stuff. So it's like, let's say, Nath, you died, I could channel your spirit, and then Elle, you could talk to Nathan and me.
Is that admissible in court?
Oh, okay, here's the thing.
You've not played Phoenix, right?
Welcome to Phoenix Wright. But so she is from a family who basically they were meant to be in charge of this, but then someone else was more powerful, and her family basically they were seen as like, oh, you're not as powerful as the real person. So basically she's been grown up to be like hating, and she's just been in like, there are 3 cases in Phoenix Wright 3 which all involve obviously a murder. And they all seem to like center around her. So the first one was like, she like dates Phoenix Wright at uni, but of course she's only using Phoenix because of another previous case where she poisoned someone. She was like, I've got to get rid of this poison, which is a necklace.
I'll just use it on someone.
Yeah, she bumps into Phoenix Wright in a university. She's like, oh, here, it's a symbol of love. You can keep it. And then Phoenix falls in love with her. And then, then obviously when she's in the court case, they're like, no, she'd never kill anyone. I'll defend her. And meanwhile, she's just like, oh, and she's there just smiling, and she's got the judge under her control, and he's like, oh, aren't you just absolutely adorable? You couldn't do anything wrong, could you? And then she's just that, oh, thank you, Mr. Judge, with her little parasol, and she's got butterflies.
Rosie really does hate her.
I know.
So
my
you
God.
look at her, and then you're just like, I hate you, because you know she did it. You know she's done it, and she's framing everyone, and she's killing people to cover up her own track. She's just evil. And then when she does finally get caught for killing someone who she tried to frame Phoenix for, she finally gets caught, and then she's sentenced to death. And then there's a case again which involves this whole family spiritual drama stuff. And then when you find out that she's been channeled and that she's the killer yet again, she was like, yes, I was hanged, and it wasn't very pleasant. And she just goes from being this cutesy, it's always just like, she's always a cutesy girl, and sometimes she has a fake name, but you know really who she is, and you just want to send her to jail, just want to get that justice for the
It's
people.
not sending to jail.
Yeah, I know.
Jail.
Rosie.
You want her to go to jail for all the crimes that she's done. You know that she's framed people after people. She's committed crimes for her own selfish needs. She's using people. She's manipulating people with her own like cutesy ways. Like even the judge, he just puts a blind eye, and he's just like I said, he's just like, oh, you're just lovely. And
This is terrible.
yes,
I like her.
I hate her. And yeah, but then the thing, like, it's even creepy because you just get so determined to take her down, and you're so used to seeing her being like this cutesy girl, like, hi, tee, and all this stuff, that when she does start to get caught, she like literally gets demonic. Like she hides like behind her parasol, and then she just goes like boom, and then she just like she like full on stares at you, and her eyes are like white. There are shadows over her head. It's demonic, and just playing the game, and then when you finally, even when her dead spirit is finally gone and the judge finally says, yeah, no one's channeling her spirit ever again.
Good.
Can we just,
Glad someone's
can we just
decided that.
stop? Oh, you just hate her so much, and I hate her. But I love it as well, because when you take her down on each case, it's so satisfying, because you're finally just like, oh yes, I took her down. Apart from the one case which is really sad, and then she gets away, because then you're really sad because someone died unjustifiably and she's just walked off with a demonic smile.
You got her in the end, Rosie.
I got her in the end, but this is why I love to hate her, because not a lot of games make me go, I hate you. Like, not a lot of games do that. Whereas this character, she really just made me want to get the justice for all those she did wrong. But you'll love hating this character, and you'll love your whole time with Trials and Tribulation. So honestly, it's one of my favorite games, and it's so
Are you channeling her right now? Right?
Yeah. This is when I just start getting all cutesy and everything, and I just go like, I'll just give you the death stare.
So my villain is, I think, one of the greatest villains of all time in video games, having played some video games, but definitely not all of them. I'm sure people will disagree. And I think that he sums up an entire franchise. Whenever I think of this series of games, which is Far Cry, I instantly think of Vaas from Far Cry 3. Has everyone played Far Cry 3?
No.
Yes.
No.
But I know the cover.
But you know the cover?
I know, yeah, like when I think of Far Cry, yeah, I think of that guy on the cover, the Mohawk, right?
Exactly. And that, I think, is kind of testament to what an amazing character he is, because even people who haven't played Far Cry 3 know this villain. I mean, the marketing did hang quite heavily around his amazing monologue, the definition of insanity, but it's an amazing game in its own right. It's a fantastic game, but with such an incredible villain, it's like one of those golden moments where the two things have come together, especially since I don't know if this I think this goes to show what an amazing villain he is, because he is definitely horrible.
You're supposed to love to hate him, Dave.
I do love him, and I can imagine how I should hate him. No, he is absolutely horrible. Don't get me wrong, he does terrible things. He tortures people, he murders your friends.
I feel like there's a butt coming.
He tries to kill
know,
you several
yeah.
times, but he's so... oh, there it is. I didn't even know I said it. He's so completely compelling and charismatic, like you can't take your eyes off him. It's an amazing performance. The actor's name is Michael Mando, and I remember that, I think it was Rob, went on a Far Cry 3 preview trip and met him and recorded a little piece to camera where he said you're watching PlayStation Access, and it is so intimidating. It's incredible. I don't even know if the dialogue is really good. I don't know if his script's really good or just his delivery is amazing, but I just can't.
Feels like
whenever he's on the screen,
it's probably his delivery.
you have to watch it. He can go from 0 to 100 in the blink of an eye. He's just sort of talking, and then he's screaming. It helps that a lot of the kind of cutscenes, first of all, they're all from the first person perspective. You're often tied to a chair or something. There's really nowhere else you can look, but I didn't want to look anywhere else. Mostly because I was worried he was going to stab me at any time. He's just an amazing villain. He does lots of terrible things, and still I think he's probably Far Cry 3 has wonderful gameplay mechanics that are really, really fun to play and try and play off against each other and figure out how they all work together. But I think what kept me playing the story, because you could just go and enjoy the sandbox of Far Cry 3, was definitely Vaas. He propels the whole thing forward and makes it so brilliant to see through to the end. He's great.
But I will forever love his fast food order, which is now my fast food order.
If he didn't die, the cholesterol would have gone in.
Exactly. The burgers would have got him.
Most definitely.
He was always going to be killed by something he loved. That's the important.
Here we go again.
Good work, Rosie. In with the memes, down with the kids. Let us know in the comments what villains you love to hate. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and click that notification bell so you're always up to date with everything PlayStation. Thanks for watching, and see you again soon.
For the players.